Hey everyone, this is the Oreo Monster and you're watching Logic.band. It's a place full of tips, tricks, and tutorials to help you as a blind Logic, macOS, and VoiceOver user. If you haven't already, then please visit Logic.band, the website associated with the channel, and right there on the homepage you'll find a form where you can sign up for the mailing list to get yourself a free Getting Started with Logic course. And if you'd also like some bonus in-depth tutorials and to attend a Q&A with me where I answer your questions in person, then hit the join button on this video. Now in this tutorial, Izzie G is going to explain some of the differences for pan settings for stereo tracks in Logic. You may want to put some headphones on, listen on your studio monitor. You may not grasp the full concept of this tutorial if you just listen on your phone speakers or something like that. And with that out of the way.
Hello everyone and welcome. In today's video, I'll be explaining the differences between stereo pan and balance pan. Balance is on by default, and what that means is if you have something at center and you turn the pan knob to the left, essentially what you're doing is turning the right side down in amplitude or volume. If you're turning it to the right, the opposite's happening. You're turning down the left. With stereo panning, however, you're actually bringing in the right channel and you're essentially squashing it into the left side, for example. So if you turn it to the left, you will bring whatever's on the right hand side into itself until eventually you're on the complete utter left side and you've squashed that signal into a mono signal. I have a drum track here with the kick pan to the left and the snare pan to the right as an example, with a hi-hat somewhere in the middle. Doesn't necessarily have to be in the middle, doesn't really matter. Just so there's something in there and it's a drum sandwich. So let's go ahead and show you what I mean. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the mixer with Command 2.
Untitled Logics, Untitled, Mixer, Tracks, Window, Dirty Jungle Plus.
And I'm going to go ahead and interact with this channel strip.
In Dirty Jungle Plus, 22 items, Dirty Jungle Plus, name.
And this is a track stack for full disclosure. So let's go ahead and VO arrow left to the pan control.
Disclosure. Solo, mute, 0.0, signal clicking off, volume, 0, pan.
You can do this with stereo audio files as well. Any channel strip that allows you to set different panning modes. I'm going to go ahead and play the track so you guys can hear what we're working with today. Okay, just a straight, no frills, no thrills, kick, snare, hi-hat pattern. As of this moment, we have a pan control. This is the balance.
In circular slider.
So I'm going to go ahead and interact with that, and I'm going to pan this off to the left. So I'm going to hit VO left arrow and let it do its thing.
Minus 10, minus 20, minus 30, minus 40, minus 50, minus 60, minus 64.
So as you could hear, the volume of the right-hand side was getting quieter, essentially because the hi-hat's somewhere in the middle, and the snare is all the way to the extreme right. The snare was turned down and the hi-hat moved. So if we go back to Unity,
minus 50, minus 4,
or center,
minus 1, 0.
There we go. And we do the same thing going right, the opposite will happen.
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 63.
Now we hear that the kick has completely disappeared, the hi-hat once again has moved, and we just have the snare. This is, by default, what happens. And if you have a mono signal, that's fine. If you have a stereo, however, and you want to keep all the information without anything disappearing, we use the stereo pan. So I'm going to go ahead and set this back to the center.
53, 3, 2, 1, 0.
There we go.
Auto circular slider.
Now we're going to uninteract and VO left arrow.
Read, automation, group, stereo output.
Till we hear stereo output. And this is where you usually pick whether you want to send your channel's output to a bus. At the moment, it's on stereo output. So I'm going to go ahead and hit VO space.
Menu, checkmark, stereo output, no output, hyphen, output, bus. Stereo pan.
And then we start to see stereo pan.
Checkmark, balance.
And balance.
Binaural panner.
And then binaural panner. Binaural panner is way out of the scope of this video, so we won't even talk about that.
Checkmark, stereo pan.
So let's VO up arrow back up to stereo pan.
Stereo output.
And VO space on that. VO right arrow.
Group, read, automate, 0, stereo pan.
Back to what's now the stereo pan.
In circular slider.
Interact with this. Let's go ahead and VO left arrow and show you the difference.
Minus 10, minus 20, minus 30, minus 40, minus 50, minus 60, minus 64.
So now we hear that the snare is coming along for the ride and now is getting squashed into the left channel. Let's go ahead and do this again, but to the right this time. Back to Unity we go.
Minus 14, minus 6.
Or center. Oops.
Minus 4.
A little too far.
Minus 1, 0.
There we go. Now to the right.
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 63.
And now we're all the way to the right and we still have our kick. This is, like I said, it's useful for when you want to bring all the information. You don't want to leave anything out. So if you have something like this where the kick and the snare are panned to the extremes of the stereo image, you can now use this stereo pan to not leave anything out. It's also useful if you want to squash something either slightly or into itself. Of course, there's also the direction mixer as well that you can do that with. This just eliminates that step. If you just need something simple and quick and fast, this is the way to go. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and found it useful. And as we say here at Logic Band, happy recording. Thank you for watching.